And we are joined here on Wisconsin.Golf for our weekly Wisconsin.Golf conversation by Maggie Leef, WSGA Hall of Famer and an accomplished senior amateur golfer in the state of Wisconsin, who is getting ready for the start of her tournament season. Which, Maggie, one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you is that tournament golf for you and a lot of senior golfers this year is taking on a whole different look because you don't have a lot of USGA events to qualify for. Those have been canceled. I know on the men's side of the WSGA, the senior tour was wiped out. I suppose on the one hand, you're grateful for these opportunities, but on the other hand, how do you feel about playing competitive golf in this COVID-19 era?
Well, I am thankful that they are trying to host the event this week. I'm looking for a little normalcy. It's been a weird spring, weird changes. While it's not surprising the USGA canceled all or most of their amateur championships except for the amateur and the men's amateur, it's disappointing because that was a big part of my life of getting ready for summer. The friends I've made, I mean, it's been about 20 years that I've been competing in USGA events, and I have friends that now I'm not going to see. So I'm thankful that at least we get to try it with the senior women for Wisconsin. And I don't have the concerns about on the golf course. The travel, this one, it'll be
Right.
a hotel stay overnight. There's a little bit of apprehension, and yet one of the reasons I'm not concerned on the golf course is I think there's pretty good protocols, and I know the WSGA, I'm more familiar with what they've changed. They're taking any precaution that you can think of. So we know what we need to do to protect ourselves. So I'm excited and I'm slightly apprehensive, but looking forward to it.
How much golf have you played this spring, and will it be nice to get out in a competitive environment, after, just kind of, playing casual rounds here, especially after that month off?
Yes, it was. I had been in South Carolina, so I've been playing golf in February and March. We came
Okay.
home in March for what was supposed to be a 10-day, or for me, a 10-day visit home. And 2 days after we got home, they shut everything down.
Yeah.
So I had been playing golf, then we were off, then they closed the golf course. They didn't let the golf courses here open. I still found some, a little bit of time to practice, some dry shooting in the basement, some putting reps in the basement. So I was keeping my golf a little bit engaged as much as you could. I will say that it was very weird to play at the beginning with the noodles or the PVCs in the pipe. It just seemed
Yes.
like I was like, okay, just get up and hit it. Come on, who cares? And all of a sudden, I guess there's part of me that wondered whether the WSGA would hold to a June tournament schedule,
Sure.
or maybe we get rescheduled for an August date or something. And probably about 3-4 weeks ago, it's like, oh my goodness, I got to start paying attention because there is going to be competitive golf. District have been canceled in Milwaukee. So I'd say the last 3 weeks I've been playing more intentional golf, and actually the last couple of weeks I've played pretty much, and it's just fun. It's fun to be out there. It's nice.
Well, and that again, the senior women's amateur up at Lake Arrowhead Sunday and Monday, really outside of the state match play qualifiers that were held this week, this is the first true championship that'll be held in this new era on the WSJ schedule. Plus, it's the first women's event held since the merger of the WWSGA and the WSGA. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that's going to change things, if at all, and what you think of all the tournaments now being under one umbrella?
I think it's a great idea. I think it'll be good for golf. It's probably going to make the transition easier because of COVID. That I can't imagine if an all-volunteer committee was trying to
Right.
handle these things. To be able to ride on the piggyback of the WWSGA and Bill and Jeff and Amy and Rob's, their work and their knowledge and their, I don't know this to be true, but my guess is that for the past 6 weeks, they've been doing what if sessions almost daily
Right.
and changes daily. So I think even before, I think the transition is going to actually go smoother and quicker because of COVID, and I think because of the transition, the merger, the championships, the tournaments are going to be better. We have a pretty good field up
You
at
do.
Lake Arrowhead. I was pleased to see that. The state open is Tuesday and Wednesday at Brandybrook in Wales, and they've
Right.
got a great field. So I think we're diving in, and it'll be good.
Well, you're definitely diving in because you're in both events, so 4 competitive days in a row, and but you live for that, don't you?
I do. I like it. I'm going to have to ask some of my buddies on Sunday and Monday why they're not playing in the Open, because I do enjoy. I like playing with the youngsters. Last summer I volunteered a lot, and that's probably been one of the weirdest parts is I haven't had any volunteer days in golf
Sure.
this year. I like watching golf. I like watching good golfers. I like just watching people handle themselves on the golf course. So I'm looking forward to both of them. The Senior Open, I think, is going to be weird because definitely the senior women's amateur has typically been a more social and I don't want to say fun because it's obviously competitive, but with single rider carts as
Right.
mandatory. No, I've just briefly looked over some of the rules restrictions, not restrictions, the rule accommodations, and it has to unfortunately take away from the social aspect, and that's usually one of the big parts of it for me. But we'll figure out a way to it'll still be good to see everyone from 6 feet away. It'll still be good
Right.
to have some laughs, and hopefully all get a chance at some normalcy for ourselves.
You talked about wishing that maybe a few of the women in the amateur field would be going on to the Open, like maybe Sid and Sarah. Um, but let's talk a little bit about the women's senior amateur group. I've been lobbying for many years. We see a lot of the kids go through high school golf, go through college golf, and then obviously there's jobs, there's families. Not everyone can do what you and Sid and now Sarah have been able to do, Sarah DeCray. And do you see maybe that ever changing? And how can we? Like you said, I love the field you have at Lake Arrowhead. I love the numbers that are going to be there. I can tell just by seeing the names how excited they're going to be to play. The Peg Carlsons and that kind of those kind of gals that have really made the women's events what they are. And but how can we get more women involved longer through from post college in through their golden years?
I don't know. Um, it's something that I've been on the girls junior committee. The USGA has recently done away with committees, but I've been on the girls junior. We've talked about it at a couple of these because it's almost like the youngsters get on this treadmill and it's gotta get a scholarship, gotta get a scholarship, gotta play in events, gotta get a scholarship. They go to college and then they walk away.
Right.
In the state, we're starting to see a few more of them come back.
Yep.
For me, it's a little bit different because I was not a typical college golfer. Kind of, it was sort of after kept me out of the bars, so I played college golf. But I didn't play in USGA events. I'm not even sure I was really aware of the amateur events until I think I had been out of college for almost 20 years by the time I finally played in one. That's a little bit different than these women that have been competitive and uber competitive and really at a high level, and they just walk away. So I'd like to figure out some way that we can engage the mid-ams more. We're doing better in Wisconsin. Anna Johnson, I can't remember Anna's new married name, but Katie Elliott and Allison Schultz over in Madison. We're getting a few more of those, and I can remember one of the first years that I really sort of put a full court press on to play in the mid-am qualifier. Mm-hmm. And didn't I miss qualifying by one stroke? But we had some youngsters.
Right.
And, am I delighted I can still qualify for those because I like competing? But at the same time, I'll be 60 this year. A 60-year-old shouldn't be a regular qualifier. I would hope that the competitive get the mid-amers back at a younger age. I think the WSGA had done a great job of making the tournaments fun and making them competitive at the same time. I have no doubt that the WSGA helping will continue that. And I think the WSGA umbrella gives us a chance to market to so many. And I think
Yes.
The old format, we just missed some, not on
Right.
purpose, not for lack of effort, just things were missed. So I think we're positioned, we're headed in the right direction. I'm optimistic that we will continue to find ways.
Well, and I think in 2 weeks' time you've got the state match play, and that one seems to have a. It looks a little bleak at the start, but the field is really developed, and people still have time to register. I think from what I saw this morning, so that's a positive sign. I agree. I think we're all headed in the right direction. I think just by talking about it, awareness, and just so people know, you're invited to come compete. If you've ever competed, come back and compete. So we'll continue to lobby on that front. Maggie, you mentioned the changes in some of the things you have to do to be able to play this weekend at Lake Arrowhead in terms of the single rider carts. You're also a USGA rules official, and last year your life was made complicated by a whole list of changes to the USGA rules that were made to kind of simplify the game. It took a year. I think everybody's used to putting with the flag stick in the hole now, or at least having the option to do that. What do COVID-19 rules, how do they change, even further what you have to do as a rules official? And what are you in for this summer? When I talked to Bill Lindeman from the WSGA this morning about this very topic. I mean, right now you can lift, clean, and place a golf ball in a bunker because you don't know if you're going to hit into a footprint or not because there are no more rakes.
Yes. I was not involved in any of the conversations. I'm on the rules committee for the WSGA, but I wasn't involved in the conversations of what's the fair thing to do and how do we do it and how
Right.
do we keep people safe. As important as golf has been and as serious as golf and as competitive as I am, it's just golf.
Right.
So is it going to be different? Yes. Do we run the risk of, with a noodle or a PVC pipe in the cup, do we run the risk that we're going to have one of those freak things that a putt that mattered, someone could say it bumped out? I think there's a chance of that. I don't think the likelihood is great. For me, the part that's most startling is having to do it on my phone. I'm not a tech head. So
Right. Scoring.
that's freaking me out a little bit.
Yes.
So, but it's gonna be baptism by fire because I'll have to use it on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I was joking with Chris from the PGA that they had to make a decision that caddies were not allowed, except caddies are allowed from your immediate family.
Okay.
I don't have any immediate family that could caddy, so I had this high school kid lined up, and I was psyched. And so I said, well, okay, I can't have a caddy, but if I have a 17-year-old walking with me and he's my technical advisor, would that work? And Chris was like, no. Oh. So it could be a problem for non-techies like me. But at the same time, I always keep numbers, I keep a scorecard with stats, just for me to evaluate the round. So there'll be a way to get a certified score, but there could be some headaches with that. Well, and the rest of the rules, the good news is I don't think they're gotcha rules. So right. The way that it's worded that you cannot make a stroke with a flag stick in the hole. So in case someone does absentmindedly touch it, we're still okay. So
sure.
The bunker one, see, the Legends has connected with the manufacturer of a long-term microbial. So bunkers and regular holes and flag sticks, or rakes, shall I say, for the bunkers, flag sticks and regular holes are back at the Legends and have been for 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
I don't know what the PGA is going to do for the Women's Open. I know that the WSGA has the sets of pool noodles, and for the time being, the cups will all be raised cups. So we're all in the same conditions. We're all competing the same. I think we'll be fine. So
are you saying those bunker rakes are made of a material that cleans itself, or how does that work?
I understand it's a coating,
okay.
So that it's long lasting. So, okay. And the way the owner, the way Jack has had it at the Legends, is that the rakes are there if you feel comfortable using them. And for anybody, for the whole right. thing is, what's the score you're most likely going to get? And obviously you can't do that in a tournament. For the rest of the play, it's, I do not think we're going to see people taking advantage of the bunker, the requirement for the bunker, the option for the bunker, that's going to impact the championship. So
Sure. I want to go back to what you said about Chris Hall, because Gary D'Amato and I were doing our podcast last week as Chris was running one of their section events. It was a pro-am. I might have been up at Trappers, but Gary and I were just in hog heaven, because we love live scoring. We like to see how all these people were writing about, how they're doing every single hole. It's amazing. But then we got done with our podcast, and I went back and refreshed the scores, and all of a sudden 2 guys had jumped to 4 under, and I looked at their card, and one of them had holed out for eagle on 1, missed scoring on 2 and 3, and then aced a par 4. And I texted Chris, I go, "Is this right? Do we have a story on our hands? Someone aced a par 4 in a section event?" And he goes, "No, I'm on the course right now trying to work with, again, the technical advisor to the golfers in the field." So it all worked out, but there will be a few bumps along the way, but I'm sure in the end it'll all be for the better. So we'll see what they do with the State Women's Open.
well, and the WSGA, we did a trial run for the after the directors board meeting. We played golf and we did a trial run in the scoring, and apparently I was one of the problems. So and the good news was no one saw my triple on the last hole, but I apparently was one of the problems.
Well, I know a few of the gals in the tournament field. One that comes to mind is Tam Flarerup, who spent many years as women's sports information director at the UW, and she's always been ahead of the curve with technology. So I know you've got at least one person in the field who can bail everybody else out. So I feel good about this weekend. We'll see what happens going forward, and that kind of thing. Maggie, before we wrap up, what else are you going to be playing in this summer? How does your schedule change now with again, none of these USGA events to qualify for?
Quieter, spending more time at home. So I probably, it's been kind of difficult right now, but I'll get back to doing some of the volunteering for the WSGA at event, working at events. I haven't decided. There's an opportunity for the North-South has a senior division, and that tournament's in August down at Pinehurst. And then one of the Mid-Am players is trying to start another women's amateur championship, amateur tournament. And it was supposed to be, the inaugural one was supposed to be Memorial Day weekend in Florida. It was canceled. And now I just saw that it's being rescheduled. I believe it's for early October. So I may try to go play in that. So,
well, sweet. That's awesome.
Big stuff.
No, that's good. And I'm sure we'll see you in State Women's Amateur in July too.
Yep.
And
yeah, so I've got these 3 tournaments: the Senior Women's Am, the Open, and then match play.
Yep.
Don't know about best ball yet, and then the amateur and the mid-am will be in August.
Well, very good. Well, we'll hope to see you next week at the Women's State Open. I'll be back for that. And this wasn't so bad, was it? The Zoom interview. This is our new norm here with reaching out to people. I even told Gary D'Amato that I'm gonna make him Zoom me from tournaments he covers when I'm back in California in July, and we're gonna do some live coverage of events. I think, see if that works. See if we can do that around the Zoom police there, and get some live stuff from some of especially the state AMs and that kind of thing. But I tell you, it's a brave new world out there.
It is. Well, thanks for the support of women's golf, Rob.
Thank you. That's Maggie Leef here, our Wisconsin.Golf conversation, and we'll see you again next week.